Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Through storytelling and conversational interviews, this weekly radio show and podcast offers listeners an insider's view into starting and running a business, the ups and downs of risk-taking, and the commonalities of successful people. Connect with Kerry through her candid, often funny, and always informative weekly blog. There you'll read, learn, and make comment about her life as a 21st century mother, wife, daughter, and entrepreneur. And now it's time for Kerry McCoy to get all up in your business.
Thank you, Sun Gray. If right now you're sitting at your computer, you might want to watch the show live on Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy's Facebook page. But if you miss it, no worries. A YouTube video will be made available next week. This show began as a calling. After 4 decades of running a small business called flagandbanner.com, also known as Arkansas Flag and Banner, I felt I had something to share. I wanted to create a platform for not just me, but other business owners and successful people to pay forward their experiential knowledge in a conversational way. Originally, my team and I thought it would be this easy, informative, 1 hour a week interview, and boy, were we wrong. As with every new endeavor, it's harder than first thought. And once again, I find myself at the onset of starting and running yet another new business, this podcast, and doing exactly what the show's about. Taking risks, embracing change, and working hard. After interviewing over 150 successful people, I've noticed some reoccurring traits among many of my guests. Belief in a higher power, the heart of a teacher, and creativity, because business is creative. Whether you know it or not, people, to create a business to build a business is creative. Before we start, I want to let you know if you miss any part of today's show or want to hear it again or even share it. There's a way, and Sun Gray will tell you how.
Listen to all UIYB past and present interviews by going to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy's YouTube channel, the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette's digital newspaper, flagandbanner.com's website, or subscribe to our podcast wherever you like to listen by searching Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. And if you would like to receive timely email notifications of each week's upcoming guests, go to flagandbanner.com, click Radio Show, and join the email list. Back to you, Kerry.
Thank you, Gray. My guest today, Dr. Amy Beard, is not your atypical MD. Sure, she's trained in Western medicine at the University of Arkansas College of Medicine and went to work in the ER after her residency training, but she's a lot more than that. At too young of an age, she became a patient herself, struck with a chronic illness that sent her into a life of despair and hopelessness until a happenstance meeting with a woman changed her life, her health, and her career forever. Today, she has added to her list of credentials by becoming a board-certified dietitian and functional medicine practitioner. Functional medicine is a term we're all going to be hearing more about as chronic illnesses and pharmaceutical costs rise and patients look for alternative treatments. We are lucky to have had Dr. Amy Beard reach out to Up in Your Business. She is passionate about spreading her learned medical and firsthand experience with fellow chronic illness sufferers. In addition, she is an innovative entrepreneur. Dr. Beard runs her functional medical practice entirely online, making her knowledge and scientific diagnostics techniques accessible to everyone, no matter where they live. This, people, is the future of medicine. It is a pleasure to welcome to the table the problem solver, the survivor, compassionate healer, entrepreneur, and healthy lifestyle proponent, Dr. Amy Beard. And we're lucky to have had her husband join her today. Paul, say your last name?
Buch.
Buch. He's not Mr. Beard. He's Paul Buch.
She wouldn't take my name.
And he is an organic farmer, so he is a special guest that just happened in today, and we are lucky to have him here too, so we'll speak with him a little bit. But first, we're going to talk with Amy. It's a fascinating story and a fascinating read for everybody to go read, amybeardmd.com. And when I read it, you said your classmates called you Nana at the medical school you went to. Why is that?
I was one of the oldest ones in the class.
And you weren't even old.
I was 32.
But, I was in a class. I mean, there was one girl in the class who she wasn't even old enough to drink yet. So
In medical school?
yeah, I was going to take everybody out for drinks after our first test, and she wasn't even legal. So,
Wow. Medical school.
I think she graduated high school or something, early. And
and is brilliant.
yeah, she was a smart one.
So before you decided to tell us about how you decided to become a doctor. Is it
Wow.
is your family? Is it a legacy family?
No,
thing?
not at all.
What do your parents do?
They're salt of the earth people. My dad worked at a power plant in Phillips County. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and neither one of them had gone to college.
So you decided to go to college. What did you graduate with?
I was a dietitian first.
Oh.
I became I was a registered dietitian before I decided to go down the path to go to medical school and become a physician.
Was there an event that happened that you were? Had you already gotten sick?
I had gone through a lot. I mean, looking, hindsight is always 20/20.
Sure.
So now looking back on my life as a child, I can see all the chronic issues that I was dealing with were just leading up to more and more problems that had the same root cause. They were just presenting as different things my entire life. But, I'd always been interested. I was always very active, very interested in healthy lifestyles, and becoming a dietitian was part of that. And then I realized that I only knew kind of one part of what made us really healthy. And so I thought, going to medical school would help me, of course, to learn more about how the body works and how we can, keep it healthy and prevent all the chronic issues that were, plaguing our country at the time and still, becoming worse.
It seems like as a dietitian and your interest in being healthy, that you wouldn't have had any health problems because, as we were saying before we came on the radio, food is medicine. So,
well, at the time, you realize that as a dietitian,
you're just counting calories.
Well, it was a lot of it was bad information. We were pushing artificial, diet colas on diabetics, telling them to eat margarine instead of butter. It's just a lot of bad dietary advice.
No, all right.
So,
yeah,
that's why I was like, okay.
So don't
it
go
was
to
the whole food, the food pyramid was real big, and I'm like, this doesn't make much sense.
It's not working for me. Something's not right about it.
Yeah.
So this is what you said at amybeardmd.com. Inflammatory diets devoid of nutrients, too little or too much physical activity, chronic stress, lack of sleep, high toxin burdens are major contributors to chronic disease. Unfortunately, these things were barely covered and outright neglected during my medical school education and residency training. You went on to say, much of my education and training focused on using pharmaceuticals and procedures to treat symptoms. While treating symptoms is necessary and much appreciated by patients, what's more important is treating the underlying root causes that are contributing to those.
Yes, that's it. That's what we do as functional medicine physicians.
You also said the conventional medicine approach does a very poor job of uncovering and addressing root causes of disease. As many of you know and have experienced, a typical visit is around 10 to 15 minutes and usually ends with a doctor handing the patient a prescription to treat a symptom, and then new symptoms typically develop as a side effect from the pharmaceutical
I see
prescription.
It over and over again. Having in my own life and those in patients that will come to see me.
So you said you wanted on your website, you said, I wanted no part of the pill for your ill approach to conventional medicine. I love that. Did you make that up?
I think that was probably you.
Pill for
don't know.
ill. I think you should. I saw that and was like, pill for ill. So did you write all of this that I just read before you went to medical school or after you went to medical school and worked in the ER and then began to formulate all of these ideas?
That was afterwards. That it was a culmination of all my experiences and of course the chance meeting with a functional medicine physician that got me on this path, and it saved my life, and it's helping me help other people overcome their chronic issues.
So you go to medical, so you become a dietitian. Your
Right.
diet is not fixing. You go and become a doctor. You're going to get science to back you up. You
Right.
go to work in the ER after your residency training. You're working in there, and then
My health is deteriorating the entire time. And I'm a physician and a dietitian.
and you can't fix yourself.
And I can't fix myself. That's right.
All right. This is a great place to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Amy Beard, board-certified MD, functional medicine practitioner, dietitian, and chronic illness survivor. We'll find out what she did to get healthy, learn about functional medicine, hear how to connect with her online medical practice, and some of the ways she interfaces with her patients in their homes, and last, get some free lifestyle tips that we can all attain. We'll be back after the break.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Over 40 years ago, with only $400, Kerry founded Arkansas Flag and Banner. During the last 4 decades, the business has grown and changed. Over this time, Kerry's business and leadership knowledge grew. As early as 2004, she began sharing her knowledge in her weekly blog. In 2009, she founded the nonprofit Friends of Dreamland Ballroom. And in 2014, Brave Magazine, a biannual publication. Today, she has branched out into this very radio show, YouTube channel, and podcasts. Each week, you'll hear candid conversations between her and her guests about real-world experiences on a variety of businesses and topics that we hope you'll find interesting, inspiring, and educational. Stay up to date by going to flagandbanner.com and joining our email list. You'll receive our popular Water Cooler Weekly email that notifies you of upcoming guests, happenings at Dreamland Ballroom, sales at flagandbanner.com, access to Brave magazine articles, and Kerry's current blog post. All that in one weekly email. Telling American-made stories, selling American-made flags. TheFlagandBanner.com. Back to you, Kerry.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy. I'm speaking today with Dr. Amy Beard and her adorable husband, Paul. But Amy, who is a organic farmer, and Amy is board-certified online MD, functional medicine practitioner, dietitian, and a chronic illness survivor. Let's just call her a patient at one time. And I think you're cured, aren't you?
So, it's a battle still because of some of the things that have happened to me.
Okay, well, we're going to get to that. Why did you quit the ER?
The stress. The stress.
You thought it was what was making you sick.
It was, it's erratic sleep schedules, shift work. You work nights, you work days, high stress demands. And I wanted to help. I kept seeing people come in for chronic illnesses on 15 and 20 different pharmaceuticals, and you just see them all the time. And you're like, I've got to go help some people. I was helping people in the ER, but I thought I wanted to empower people to take better care of themselves.
So let's talk about your illness and why the hopelessness. You were diagnosed with possible MS, and you were treated for many chronic problems, horrible, and you put horrible in all caps and in parentheses on your website. And you say, horrible constipation, IBS, reflux, depression, neuropathy, spastic bladder, restless leg syndrome, vertigo, and rashes. Paul, were you married to her?
Not that time, no.
I wouldn't have been either. Yeah, that's a lot right there. So let's talk about your illness and how did it first begin?
Looking back, I was a child who was hyperactive. Literally was told that I could climb walls. I had repeated strep infections. Lots of allergies, and then that progressed to, as a teenager, lots issues with depression, anxiety, acne, but a lot of people get that, but mine was really bad. And then it was restless leg syndrome, dizziness, orthostatic hypotension. I was passing out, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And no matter what I did, I'd been to all kinds of specialists.
Even as a young child?
Even as a young child.
Did your mother believe it could be diet-related?
No.
Nobody ever connected those dots?
No. It was, no one ever mentioned that. Ever. Not that I've asked Mom about it, but no, that was never mentioned.
You had surgery? How old were you when you had your first surgery?
I didn't. My first surgery was the abdominal, the colectomy, the partial colectomy. That I was third. Oh gosh.
Were you in medical school?
I was in my residency, my first year of residency, and they did not like the fact that I had to have that done because they got knocked out of a resident, you know. But it had to be done. It reached the point where I was extremely sick.
Do you think being a patient has made you a better doctor?
Absolutely. Yes, I can relate. I felt like an experiment for most of my life.
Mm-hmm. Paul's nodding.
And that's how a lot of my patients feel.
Mm-hmm. Like an experiment?
Yeah.
So you've quit the ER. You're at home sick. I'm just trying to paint me this picture. You're at home sick.
Well, and you have to go back. I was in residency when I had my collective. You know, they took all but 18 inches of my colon because it just basically did not work anymore. Mm-hmm. I'd seen all kinds of gastroenterologists, colorectal surgeons, and what have you, and that cured the chronic constipation. But then it was replaced with chronic diarrhea, and then my health really started to deteriorate. And the symptoms that I had prior to the surgery remained. Got worse, and then others started to develop. So it got rid of the constipation, the one symptom, but everything else remained the same.
Because you haven't found the root cause.
Exactly.
Of it. You're just treating the symptoms.
Yes.
So you've quit the ER, and you how did you meet the woman that would change your life? Set up the scene for us.
I had opened up a concierge practice in the Greenbrier, Conway area. And it was just this weird chance meeting. I still...
Well, I found her, and I started telling Amy about this person. I said, well, she does... Since she was a dietitian, I was hearing a lot of...
I was already on this path.
But she just didn't know what it was yet.
I didn't know what it was called.
I said, you may want to talk to her because it sounds like what you want to do, but there's training for it. And then Amy met her.
And she started speaking to me about things I'd never heard in medical school or residency. And I was like, what are you talking about? What is this gut microbiome you speak of? And alpha lipoic acid and all these things. And she told me about her training in the Institute for Functional Medicine. And she said, you got to go check them out. So I did. I signed up for a conference, attended it, did not know what to expect, but was astonished at the amount of information that was presented to me that I'd never really heard, and knew I was surrounded by other physicians, and so that made me feel comfortable that this wasn't just a group of quacks, and that they literally, they had science-based, evidence-based research backing up what they said. And I was sold, and I signed up for all their conferences.
Was it online, or did you have to go somewhere?
Initially, you had to attend, physically the locations, but then they started opening them up they would stream the modules so that you could attend from your home.
So what is functional medicine?
Functional medicine is not a specialty. That's what everybody wants to think. It's just a different approach to uncovering and treating chronic disease. You're looking for root causes and not just treating symptoms.
You said on your website, the root cause of my problems was a very unhappy microbiome.
Mm-hmm.
Major, I was going to look this word up.
Dysbiosis.
Thank you. And she wrote it, she should know. Major dysbiosis and leaky gut, which is a term you're hearing all the time these days. You said, I discovered that I had intolerances to wheat, whey, and eggs, and those Diet Cokes that you just described, you were telling people to go from a regular Coke to a Diet Coke, weren't helping either. That as a dietitian, you'd been told that was a solution. I made sure I got rid of toxic exposures. I discovered I had elevated mercury levels, and a regular sleep schedule helped too.
Yes, tremendously.
So what did your doctors think when you came in and told them that?
I didn't tell them anything. Are you kidding?
No. Well, okay, so something had to happen to make you a believer. Was there a turning point?
I treated myself. I started applying the functional medicine principles that I was learning on myself. and it was working.
And what were those?
First of all, I did an elimination reintroduction diet and found out.
What does that mean?
It's something that we do in almost all of our patients if they've never done one, because it's first and foremost, you have to do that. You have to find out if you have any food intolerances.
So you get rid of all. You go.
You remove a lot of the most common ones. And then
the ones I just listed: wheat, whey, eggs, dairy,
corn, soy.
Corn,
yes,
my favorite thing.
Oh, I have a lot of people who cannot tolerate corn.
And this gets real complicated.
But it does. It is sometimes. It's not just the corn. It's it's the GMO corn. There's all kinds of things to consider here.
Sweet field corn is still good for you.
Yeah.
Sweet what?
Sweet corn. You're on the ear that you're eating. That's not the issue.
Oh, that's the same. That's okay, because that's my favorite.
Yeah, I love
it's
that
the
stuff,
corn. It's the GMO processed corn that's almost in everything. It's a thickener,
like the corn syrup.
Oh yeah, the high fructose corn syrup and things like that.
Yep.
That stuff. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
everybody knows don't eat corn syrup. If it says corn syrup, please don't eat corn syrup.
Yeah. No.
Okay. So
I did that.
You did an elimination diet,
Right.
And so I guess how long do you have to do that?
It's about a 60-day process. We do ours kind of differently because we rehab people's GI tracts at the same time while when we start the reintroduction phase to see if you react to certain foods, because it takes it can take up to 3 days to know whether or not you have a problem with a particular food.
It takes me 2 days to give a reaction to wheat.
Yeah.
It's always a 2-day. I've marked it a million times.
Mine immediately causes restless leg syndrome and some GI pain and headaches and joint pain.
So if I'm going to call you up and say, okay, help me, Dr. Beard, first thing you're going to do with that customer or patient is you're going to FaceTime with them and you're going to talk to them about an elimination diet.
Well, all of our patients. The process is quite intensive, and it's a good way to rule out or to weed out patients who are not going to be very good candidates for us, because
you got to be committed.
You have to be committed, and you have to be committed to making lifestyle changes, because those are going to come. So if you're not at that point, you're probably not a good fit for us.
And you've got to be miserable to be willing to do that.
Well,
hopefully not.
Hopefully not. I don't want people to come to us when after all the wheels have fallen off. Don't come to us before then, because it's much easier to help you.
So are you cured?
Yeah, for the most part, yes, unless I
fall off the wagon.
And sometimes
I'm
you fall
human
off
too.
the wagon accidentally. You eat something that you don't realize.
Yes, I have done that where, oh, yes, this is wheat-free, and it's not.
I took the communion wafer for a year and couldn't figure out why every Tuesday I was inflamed. And finally my husband said, I bet that
setting it
wafer
off
is wheat. And I said, oh, it's so awful. It's got to be just a piece of rice paper.
It was enough to...
It was wheat.
Yeah.
And every 48 hours, like clockwork. So, yes, you can take it accidentally.
Absolutely, you can.
You can eat cheese dip that has wheat in it that you don't think is going to have wheat in it.
There's wheat in cosmetics, lotions.
Cosmetics?
Yes.
All right.
The stuff's everywhere.
Yeah, you could get way down this rabbit hole real
could.
fast. So how long do you think it takes to start finding out, though, before we go to the break, how long do you think it takes to start finding out what you're allergic to? 2 weeks?
Yes. I think people notice real quick within about 2 weeks.
All right.
Sometimes shorter.
This will be our second break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Amy Beard, board-certified MD, functional medicine practitioner, dietitian, excuse me, and chronic illness survivor. We will find out, she's cured, she told us. We will find out how she makes diagnosis, recommendations, and monitors your wellness all in the comfort of your own home, and get some easily attainable lifestyle tips. Maybe not so easily attainable, but let's do it in bite sizes. I want to remind everyone we're broadcasting live every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time on 101.1 The Answer and Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy's Facebook page. And that after each show's airing, a podcast is made available on all popular listening sites and YouTube. Phone number when we come back for calling in.
Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, housed in a...
Hey, Ashley.
I usually have it written down in front of me. I forgot my notes. Look, the toxins go in. I guess I didn't say the toxic mercury levels, but growing up in the Delta, that needs to be.
Oh, yeah. Got bombed with pesticides.
Oh.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and I'm speaking today with Dr. Amy Beard, board-certified online MD, functional medicine practitioner and dietitian and survivor, and her adorable farmer husband who's a, what is that kind of farming you do?
Organic?
Organic, there you go. He's cute. He can talk. So he's an organic farmer, which is just so cool and so hard. Don't let anybody fool you. I can't believe you can grow anything organically. Don't the bugs down here in Arkansas just eat it up?
It's tough.
I mean, how do you not put pesticides when you live in Arkansas and everything grows in Arkansas?
It's tough.
Even bugs.
When I first met Amy, I rented out my greenhouses to some people from California. And it was hilarious because they're used to growing in a desert without
Bugs.
the bugs.
I know. That's why we grow stuff in
They
deserts.
went back California.
That's right. That's exactly right. My son, you'll love this. My son's a horticulture major, and he went he did his master's degree at New Mexico in the desert. And I said, honey, why in the world would you grow stuff in the desert? He said, because you've got sun year round and there's no bugs, and you can bring water in.
Yep.
And I never thought of it. He's getting his PhD in horticulture in Ohio State. You guys will have to talk when he comes home.
Absolutely.
Okay. If you've got a question that you would like to ask Amy or her organic farming husband, you can call. Greg, give the number, please.
501-823-0965.
One more time, honey.
The number is 501-823-0965. 0965.
So before the break, everybody, that if you're just tuning in, we talked about Amy's life. Her first degree was as a dietitian, and that she couldn't, and then she was sick, though, and so she would try to modify her diet to make herself well, and it never worked. So she thought, well, I'll go to medical school. So she goes to medical school. She works in the ER when she comes out, and she ends up losing most of her colon because they still can't get her well. And then her guy she's dating, who's with us today on the show, that's now her husband, introduces her to a functional medicine doctor that changes her life and starts her down a healthy path, and she's well. And she's innovative and an entrepreneur because she runs a medical practice online, which is going to be the deal before long. I've been hearing about this for years. Amy, you run a medical practice online. How did that come about? And why did you think it would work?
We tried to do this in a brick and mortar area. And of course, with what we do, we don't take insurance. We tried it and about near bankrupted us. And it was such a headache. We were like, I'm not doing that again. That's awful.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because you get paid per patient, and we spend a lot of time with our patients because you have to know your patient to help them. And you cannot get to know a patient in 10 minutes.
You said that on your online, Amy Beard MD online, that you can't solve the patient in 10 or 15 minutes.
No, we're seeing our patients for an hour at a time, multiple times.
But the
frequently.
insurance company will only pay you for a 15-minute doctor's visit.
Well, the reimbursement, that's why doctors see so many patients per hour. It's based on volume.
Gosh. And you need a full-time admin person just to handle those claims. Because they deny them and they kick them back.
So you have to have
a racket.
So, yes. But
it is, I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
it's broken,
so
absolutely.
it's definitely broken. And so, Arkansas is not the hottest market for functional medicine, so we decided to take it online to reach more people. We utilize a lot of health coaches, and that I think is super important.
What is a health coach?
These are the people that make sure you carry out my plans accordingly. to the T, and that you don't. And they're also supporting you. They're motivating you. They're making sure you stay on track, providing accountability, making sure you understand everything, and they're really a crucial part of your success.
Do they live by the person?
They are also online as well. We do Zoom meetings.
So you diagnose people?
I don't diagnose. They already come to me with their diagnoses. I'm just looking for the root causes. And so many of them, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, but it's lifestyle driven. But at the same time, a lot of people are happy to hear that as well, that they don't need a pharmaceutical. We just need to tweak some things in their diet, their sleep habits, their stress, some toxin exposure issues, and then all of a sudden they start feeling better. And they start coming off their medications.
And so you find these life coaches online with you, and you do conference calls together, and then they're the ones that check up on them?
Yeah, so they spend my patients spend the majority of the time with the health coach. They're really the main point of contact. I'm there for looking over the initial things, getting them set on the right path.
Do you have them send their urine samples and feces and?
Yes, we do stool studies.
Stool studies.
We do testing that does require urine and things.
So the life coach can't do that.
No, I have to sign off on those things and look over the results and stuff like that, and then base my if there's any changes that need to be made with what we're currently doing for them. I'll sit there and talk with the health coach about what needs to be done, and they will relay that information. But my patients can certainly choose to see me face to face as well.
Oh, they can?
Yes.
If they want to come to
online.
Online.
We use Zoom, which is a HIPAA compliant meeting room. So it's still visual. It's not a phone call.
And HIPAA compliant means
that we're government compliant, and this is we're
protecting your health information.
Yes, it's all about protecting that.
Mm-hmm.
Functional medicine, you're a medical detective.
Yes.
So you ask when they see results, it's depending on what she's looking at their timeline.
Yeah, because every initial patient goes through what we call a health and medical investigation. We are all up in your business. Seriously. We want to know everything from the time that you were born up until now, what has gone on in your life, because it often provides a lot of clues as to what is going on. What are the mediators of your issues, the triggers, the antecedents, things that are contributing to your problems.
So what the antecedents are?
Things that have gone on prior to your current day situations. Were you a cesarean baby? Were you vaginally? Did your mom have a vaginal delivery with you? Because that alters your GI microbiome.
How does it do that?
Because if you go through the vaginal canal, you are exposed to your mother's vaginal flora. If you're a C-section baby, you get skin flora inhabiting your mouth and then your GI tract.
And what does that make? What does that?
And
make
that
happen?
alters your GI microbiome, and your GI microbiome is a huge part of your immune system.
C-section babies often have their immune systems may not be as strong sometimes.
Oh my gosh!
And
that
we're starting to
unbelievable.
Yeah. And an antecedent for Amy, a functional medicine doctor would have looked at that she grew up in the Delta and is exposed to arsenic and mercury from the herbicides and pesticides and the agricultural.
Is that how come you got it? It's not because you ate a bunch of sushi?
I was consuming a lot of tuna fish, right? Because it's healthy. I also had silver fillings in my mouth.
So get the white fillings.
The porcelain.
They're prettier anyway.
Yeah.
I'm still stumped over the vaginal delivery and the C-section. I'm just in shock. Give me some more like that. I love that
cool,
detective
right?
work.
Yeah,
yes,
I know.
it's very, very
But
cool.
those are, and that's, that. But we're looking at stressful events that might have, because often those are triggers: death, divorce.
And don't young people who have 1 in 3 girls is sexually molested?
Yes, we have a lot of that.
A lot of that.
We ask about traumas.
And that does cause eating disorders.
Yes, I have one.
Heard. Yeah,
I had one. Not that I was abused or anything like that, but that was a part of, I think, my altered microbiome, because I'd been on tons of antibiotics for strep throat and other things for acne. I was still eating wheat and whey and eggs and had no idea.
So you think that had something to do with trauma?
No, that had something to do with me developing an eating disorder, I think. Because it's an obsessive compulsive type of
And I have read that young girls who are molested want to become unattractive, and so that they can maybe get their
youth. A lot of them try to stay childlike, I think.
Well,
I've read that. And there's a lot of,
there's a lot that could probably go into
a lot of theories
that could go into eating disorders and stress. What else would there be? So we've your birth canal, your trauma, your
toxin exposures, like you said,
your
mercury those
toxin exposures.
Yes,
those are everywhere. I mean, I hear it's in your carpet. I hear it's in your
babies are now born with, I think they said, an average of 230 different types of chemicals in the umbilical cord.
What?
But our bodies are really good at detoxing.
Our bodies have detoxification systems. They're just getting overwhelmed.
Do you drink that detox tea?
I do other way. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways that you can help your body with this detoxification system. You got to put good things in and get good things out. But diet, stress, all of those things impact the way that you detox.
So I love the detox tea. I think it really helps.
Yeah, if it's supporting your liver function and detox pathway,
at first I was like, I don't know about any of that business. And so I did it and then all of a sudden I did begin to feel like my GI tract was healthier and that I did feel better.
Well, that's the first point of detoxification is the lining of your GI tract.
Felt better. So your web address, I keep saying, is Amy Beard, MD, but that's not really how you get to you if they want you as to use you as a doctor. How would they contact?
That is the first step.
That is the first step.
AmyBeardMD.com, and then you can click on Become a Patient, and then that triggers us to send you the health investigation forms. It takes typically a couple hours to fill those out.
Because we are asking a lot of questions, and then you meet with our health coaches too. They're even gathering more information. We really want to know everything about you because it's important. And a lot of times people don't think it's important, but we do.
I love getting to talk about myself. I may just go down there and spend 4 hours filling
I will
out
analyze the heck out of you.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go fill that form out and never send it to you just because I want to just think about all of that real good. You are one of only 4 MD dietitian certified functional medicine practitioners in the country.
That was as a couple of years ago.
It may be 5 now.
Maybe 5.
That's a big deal. And we're a small state with a small town. To have you here is kind of a big deal.
Well, maybe.
We're both Arkansans, that's why we want to stay here.
Medical colleges are talking more and more about this problem of solving rural America's lack of access to medical care. So is that how you got the idea to do all of this online?
Well, we're not handling acute issues. We're handling chronic issues. And so a lot of this can be handled via, the computer with a Zoom meeting. We're going to talk about a lot of lifestyle interventions. Mm-hmm. And you don't really need to see me face to face for that.
You say online, your one-on-one allows you to achieve individualized, patient-centered, science-based approach that empowers patients to address the underlying causes of disease related to the patient's genetic, biochemical, and lifestyle factors. And I think we should add to that trauma.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
So I think you've already answered this question, how it's different from an office visit. It's a lot of self-reflection and a lot of time spent. Do you sometimes just want to go, come on, guys, you know what this is. Snap out of it. Pull yourself together. Do you ever get like that? I mean, if I saw people over and over and over and over with the same...
But it never is the same.
It's never the same.
No. Diet's underlying, but it's many things.
What?
I mean, I think she's thinking that it's all just Diet Cokes and quit this and you'll get better, but it's
much more complicated than that. There's lots of things to consider because the same symptom can have different causes in different people, and it just or you could have somebody that's exposed to the same thing, but it presents itself differently in different people. This person may develop depression because of a food intolerance. This person may develop chronic arthritis. And so it's just we're all very different, but it's the same root cause.
So if you have an immune problem that comes from a C-section, how do you fix that? That's not diet.
I mean, that's just that's one of many things. I like to tell people, look at your life as a cup, okay? And it's over the course of your life, it's steadily filling up with all types of what we call insults, like you took antibiotics, you were a C-section baby, you were started on this medication, you went through a divorce, you were exposed to this while you were overseas or something, or you developed some type of you went to Mexico and you got some type of really bad virus, and it's just your cup fills and fills and fills, and then one day it just overfills, and that's when you start really seeing people who start developing all kinds of symptoms. Like their body was doing really, really well. They thought the body's really good at adapting and trying to keep it all together, and then one day the wheels just fall off. And it's usually a triggering event. Usually it's a stressful event that does it, but not always. Sometimes it can be a medication. Sometimes it can just be, all right, I have dealt with this food intolerance long enough, and boom, I'm going to start developing some autoimmune problems.
And sometimes it's so hidden. One time it was wheat in a retainer was the trigger. Could not figure it out.
What did you say?
Wheat was in
this teenage boy's retainer, and he was a celiac patient, and they just couldn't figure out why he was reacting because he had completely eliminated wheat from his diet. It was in his retainer.
Another one was latex gloves. The lady was a nurse and developed an allergy to latex gloves through repeated use, which happens. Mm-hmm. She had a penchant for tomatoes, and she was eating them year-round. The GMO tomatoes have the lectin gene of latex inserted into them in order to make them more shelf-stable. You know those waxy tomatoes from Mexico? That's latex.
That's the latex gene that they've inserted.
And so,
do you eat those?
No.
No. I don't eat them.
We grow our own tomatoes.
You know, that's when they talk about foods and are you allergic to them, a lot of it's, are they vine ripened, are they local, are they GMO? But this person could not figure out what was going on, but she was eating tomatoes year round, and that was the latex exposure. She had no idea the latex was in those tomatoes.
A lot of cross-reactivity to consider. Seasonal as well.
So it really is a medical detective. Its lifestyle is exacerbating everything. You still got to correct it, and that's where the health coaches come. Our health coaches are very different than health coach is a broad term. It can be really good or really bad.
Mm-hmm. We are
Ours
fantastic.
are excellent. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Well, they're constantly being mentored by me, and they've also had a lot of training, and they're very empathic and very gifted, I would say.
I think you need to go to your website and put medical detective on there. You've used that word a lot, and I think that's exactly what
Sometimes I just want to go to my
medicine
patients' homes and take a look around and see what's
clean out their
going on in
cabinets.
there. Yeah.
All right, this is our last break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Amy Beard, board-certified MD, functional medicine practitioner, dietitian, and her husband, Paul, an organic farmer right here in Arkansas. We'll be right back.
Friends of Dreamland are proud to sponsor Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy.
I'm always impressed with Tom when he says Glycevic. You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy. I'm speaking today with Dr. Amy Beard, board-certified online MD of functional medicine. And I like to call her, we've decided to rename what she does as a medical detective. She's also a dietitian, and she was once a patient.
Yeah.
It is now well. And her husband, Paul, who's an organic farmer in, where are you, Paul? Where's your farm? What county?
We're in Saline County.
Where's that?
Due West.
Okay. In
Perrin.
Perrin in Salem.
The metropolis of Perrin.
What do you grow down there?
Right now, we're cattle farming. When we talk about what I used to do, I was farming full time when I met Amy.
In Eureka Springs.
Yep, I had a 500-acre farm up there with cow, calf, goat, and I had greenhouses. But I wanted to help her fulfill her dream. I have a strong business background. I was an engineer and worked corporate life for 20 years. And then I saw what she wanted. I said, I can help you with this. So I'm the business side to help her achieve. Being a doctor is already so complicated. So we as a team, we do the business.
What a good mate you found.
Oh, I know. I hit the
Y'all
jackpot.
are perfect for each other. So you left Eureka Springs to come be with Amy. You must love her.
Oh, I do.
For everybody who doesn't know about Eureka Springs is like a little paradise up there. So let's talk about leaky gut. It's a
Yes.
term that we keep hearing about all the time that leads to so many problems. What is that?
It's another word for gut permeability. So the lining, the cells that line,
Whatever that means.
well, the cells that line your GI tract will start to kind of loosen and not be so tightly joined together, and food proteins and toxins will start leaking across.
So say that again. The lining of your stomach.
Well, at the lining of your GI tract, there's cells, okay, that line it and are joined together very tightly, and those junctures can start to come a little loose, so that food proteins and toxins and other things can start leaking across your GI tract, and then they encounter all these immune cells that lie along your GI tract, and it sets off systemic inflammation.
And that's how it gets out into the bloodstream.
Yeah, it goes all over your body.
And that's why you end up with inflammation.
And that's why, yes, inflammation presents itself as many, many different things.
It can be inflammation of your
It can be arthritis. It can be headaches. It can be depression and anxiety. It can be eczema. It can be psoriasis. It can be autoimmune diseases such as MS and lupus and Hashimoto's.
What's Hashimoto? I thought that was a cartoon
Hashimoto's
character for a Japanese cartoon.
It's a Hashimoto's thyroiditis. It's it's an autoimmune thyroid condition that a lot of people have.
Some people thought you had MS.
Yes, they did, because all my symptoms fit that.
But it was just inflammation.
It was a leaky gut with some major dysbiosis or an imbalance of my GI microbiome, all those bacteria that inhabit our GI.
So do you
tracts.
eat meat?
Yes. It's really well sourced, and I don't eat a lot of it. But we raise our own beef, eat a lot of fish. Can't eat eggs, unfortunately. Love them, but they do not love me. It's one of my food intolerances, and he knows all about that one.
She was her own worst enemy. And this is a problem we have a lot of with the patients is compliance. She does not like to cook, and I think I've helped her a lot there because I'm going to cook every night. I'm not going to eat processed food. So
He does a fantastic job too. Cooks very healthy. Always has since the time I met him. We got along great with that.
yeah, it's the way I learned from my mom, and it's the way I always ate.
So what were we talking about?
I don't know.
Gut permeability.
Eggs.
We're just talking about do you eat meat?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I just, not to get you in trouble, but the vegan patients are some of the hardest patients to help.
Why?
Amy?
For a lot of different reasons. Vegan patients often make bad food choices because they're just trying to stay away from animal.
So they just eat a bunch of cheese.
Yeah, so you eat a bunch of processed stuff.
That's very true.
And that's what I find a lot. And they're some of my sickest patients. But they're probably doing it wrong. If you're a vegan, it's you've got to really watch it and make sure that you're doing it correctly to meet your nutrient demands.
Mm-hmm.
I've cooked in a vegan restaurant, and the people that I would cook, they eat volumes because it takes a lot to get the nutrients you need.
And they're probably craving. They probably got some kind of body cravings because they're not getting the protein they need, so they continue to eat more and more and more because, like you said, it takes volumes to get the nutrients you need.
I do better with meat.
So there's a book called OMD Diet by Susie Amos, where you just give up where all you do. She's a vegan, but she's just trying to get the world to do one meal a day with no meat. Just one meal
easy.
a day.
It's easy.
We do that all the time.
We do a lot of meatless meals.
We do a lot of tofu.
Yeah, we're not anti. It's just balance of everything.
So for people out there that think they've got to have a meat for every one, you don't have to be meat with every meal or give it all the way up.
No.
There's just a balance in there. I thought this was interesting when I was listening to her talk about her book. And this, since you're an engineer and you're a doctor, you may like this, and you can fact check me on this. If you eliminate one meat meal from a day, you save 200,000 200,000 gallons of water and the carbon equivalent of driving from New York to L.A. because that one piece of meat to raise that animal for whatever the life was. So you're a cattle farmer.
That's such a narrow, ignorant view. I'm sorry.
She's a vegan.
Right. So
Paul will have a lot to say about this.
it depends on how
Well,
you...
Paul, we don't have that. Paul.
I know.
I can make an alternate argument that running your animals properly will increase water savings because 1% of organic matter in the soil can hold over 200,000 gallons of water per acre.
See, it's the difference between,
Industrial
farming.
Exactly. That's it right there.
Industrial
That's
farming is
really-
horrible, and they want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're saying, no, there's a balance between the two.
That's right. So limiting the amount we eat of meat could reduce the amount of industrial farming we do to meet the demand.
And buy from good farmers. We deal with Rabbit Ridge. They're a wonderful organic farm in Arkansas, and they are improving their
doing it
land.
right- the
They're
right
doing
way.
it right. And there's lots of
We
the
try to support
Lewises
them. In Greenbrier,
in Greenbrier
yes.
do a great job.
So before we end, sleep patterns. You said that was important. Why is that
Please
important?
sleep.
Do you need to stick to a specific sleep
I would
pattern?
say your body likes a schedule.
It wants a schedule.
Yes, so try to do that. And sleep is everything. Without sleep, your body's not going to work right.
So the bullet points we've talked about: sleep patterns, diet. We spend a lot of time on diet, leaky gut, exercise. You can exercise too much.
Yes, you can.
Meditation. We talked before we came on about meditation and prayer. Some people
Downtime.
don't like that word downtime. Some people don't like the word prayer. Some people like the word meditation. We talked about leaky guts and we talked about toxins. I can't remember what we said about toxins. They could be in your fillings. They could be in your
they're
air.
everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Is there a way to find them, to look for them?
Yes, there's websites that you can go to that can help you use more natural products as far as cosmetics, cleaning agents, and things like that. And we just do that as a part of educating our patients on where they might be going wrong and how they can just eliminate as many
Cleaning agents.
Yeah, getting rid of the chemicals in your home, and you'd be surprised.
A lot of it's job related.
Yeah.
Mechanics,
welders.
They
All right,
suffer.
yep.
And then
We're having to leave.
Oh no.
He's about. I know. I've got the 30-second buzz. Boy, I've enjoyed talking to you. I could spend another 30 minutes
I know.
talking to you. Thank you very much, Amy Beard
Thank
and
you
husband
so much.
Paul.
Thank
you
you.
so
Thanks for
much.
having us.
Go to ArkansasFlagandBanner.com to get a link to Amy Beard's website so you can learn more. Next week we've got Sergeant Major Preston is flying in to talk about Army retirement and the people he's helping. Thanks for being with us.